We're just talking about our like broken bodies.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like bruised my knuckle
Wait,
yesterday.
why? How?
Like, I don't know. I just,
Did
I
you
was
get in a
getting,
fight?
no, I didn't. I was getting on a plane.
Oh, maybe.
Got on a plane. Yeah. And I don't know how it happened. I just looked down at my knuckle and I was like, why does it hurt so much? And it's like giant and swollen and like purple.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
It's like
Is that on
really,
your drawing hand?
yeah, it's
Oh
stupid. So
no.
every time I'm like, oh, it hurts to draw.
You're like, I guess.
I'm
You're
such a
like my
wuss.
You're like, I
fingy.
guess I
I
won't
know.
draw this week.
I know. Oh, poor me. I guess I'll just pick spells for my sorcerer instead. I leveled up on Sunday in our D&D group, and now I get to pick like a few new spells, and I'm agonizing over this decision. I'm like, what
Oh
cantrips do I
man.
pick?
That's
You're like, all I can do
Yeah,
is play
this is.
D&D now. I can't draw. Like,
I know.
what do you expect me to do? Like, I just have to play a lot of D&D.
I know. I guess that's all I'll do now. That's my life. No, I'm in California this week, so that's
Hello?
cool. I just hey hi.
Oh, sorry. You like cut out for a bit.
Oh no. Yeah, I'm in California for the week, and I'm staying at my boyfriend's place, and his internet is a little weird, and also his roommates are like, "Can you stay at home and like wait for a package that's gonna get delivered?" So it might happen while I'm doing
Oh,
this.
okay.
So if that happens, I might have to just like sign for something or
Oh,
whatever. I don't
that's
really know.
fine.
That's not good.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Let's.
they're like, you don't have a real job. You could stay at home. I'm like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so let's start then.
Yeah.
Welcome to Salt and Honey. We're a podcast about comics, and I'm Leslie, and this is Sloane.
Hello.
And today we're here with Becky Cloonan,
Hey.
super super awesome artist I've followed for like I don't even know how long, like ever since like my DeviantArt days.
Oh, DeviantArt.
Yeah, I was like maybe I could look for Becky's DeviantArt, but I think you like smartly deactivated it or something.
I deactivated it. It was a few years ago, and I was like, how many? It's almost like I can't have more than like three social media things going on at a time because one of them just gets neglected.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right now, it's my Tumblr is severely neglected, and my website. Like, who do people even have websites anymore? Like, I don't even update.
Yeah.
I haven't updated. I made it like 3 years ago, and I haven't updated it since.
I feel like I
I don't know.
purposely neglect things just because I'm like, ugh, you don't deserve like my attention, and then I'm like, wait, why did I do that? I don't even know. There's like no good
Yeah, I
reason to
don't
do.
know. Yeah,
Uh,
it's weird. It's a weird thing. I was just talking about this the other day about like social media. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing on it, and it's everyone else is so much better.
no, I don't think anyone else knows either.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I mean, like, there's no like rules or anything, but I try to keep it like fairly curated, and I mostly use like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook like in that order. Facebook because I'm old, and Instagram I think because it's like the most conducive to what I do, but it's also
Yes.
like I don't know. It's like I tried to use Tumblr. I don't really understand it. I can't. Snapchat, forget it. I don't even know how to
Yeah.
use it. I'm like, how do you use the filter? I don't really
Yeah.
understand. So,
Yeah, I feel like in terms of networking, Twitter and Instagram make the most sense for artists.
yeah.
Like Tumblr used to be like really poppin', but I don't think anyone uses it anymore. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I noticed that like on my Tumblr account, I mean, I'm trying to post stuff that I don't know that I would think would be interesting if I was like, I would see artists that I follow and see what they would do and just kind of like use that as a barometer, I think. But like
Yeah.
all of my most popular posts were like I posted a GIF of Prince during Christmas and I said Merry Princemas or something and it like, hundreds of thousands of reblogs and I was like, what? I guess
You're
I'll
like,
just post
no.
animated GIFs now.
You're like, not
Like
that
it
one.
doesn't. I don't know. I mean, it's funny to like every now and then, but it's just like, why am I on this if like, none of my posts really seem to get any traction. Why? I just, I just like stalk people on it, I guess. But like,
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
I don't really use my Twitter either. Like I kind of
Yeah,
wish I
Twitter's
talked to people
another weird
more.
one. Yeah.
And I don't know. It's a
It's mostly
it's
just like a
very odd.
public chat room at this point, you know? Like I treat it
Yeah,
as my own public chat room. I'm just like, hi guys, what's going on? Just talking to my friends.
and like people just use it to promote their stuff and like whatever. There's
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird. Who knows?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I guess like yeah, I feel like Becky's work and I think Sophie Campbell at the time, especially like seeing people drawing with ink on DeviantArt was like crazy to me because I didn't know anyone else that did that. Maybe I'm just like I don't know. Maybe I was just like really sheltered and didn't know any like any American comics, but yeah, it was like kind of mind blowing. And even now, Becky's work is like still like only getting better. So yeah,
Oh,
we're really lucky to
I'm
have
glad.
her.
I'm glad you think that.
Do you have like
Oh.
anything to say to the contrary, or is it just
But it's weird because like I've been you know I drew comics for so long and it was like I feel like maybe like 3 years ago I got super burnt out. Just like just the monthly comic grind is so difficult and I was working on so many licensed books, which is kind of fun but also like kind of a downer too. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna write now because like
yeah,
I just don't want to draw. But I still do want to draw, so I'm doing like more illustration stuff. But that's like completely counter to what you know my instincts as a cartoonist is, which
yeah,
is when you draw a comic, someone's going to look at that panel for 2 seconds. So if you spend, you know, more than half an hour on it, you're an idiot. You know, and now
yeah,
I'm because I've done so much illustration work, I'm like someone's going to have this on their wall and stare at it every day. You know, maybe if it's like above their bed, they'll look at it every time they wake up in the morning, you know,
yeah,
or in the afternoon depending on, you know, their sleep schedule. But like I don't know. So, you know, I end up spending like, you know, weeks on a picture now. And it's, you know, I'm just getting back to drawing comics again. And I'm having to like unlearn all this stuff that I learned or like reapply it to like what I'm doing in like a different way. I don't know. It's just, it's really, I need to like do life drawing classes again or something. I'm so rusty. I just feel like, what, it's been fun, but I'm feeling the itch to draw comics again,
yeah.
you
Well, it's good to
know?
have like that break. I
Yeah.
feel like I do need. I always say that I want to go to figure drawing classes, but then I have to sit on like the little bench, the horse bench thing, and then like
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
just like I can't sit on that.
Yeah, yeah, and then I have to deal with like other people in the room. I'm like, maybe I should just get some friends together and just
Oh
hire a
yeah,
model.
yeah,
I don't know. Really, I'm just lazy. I can only make time for like one thing in my life at a time, and right now it's D&D. So,
you're
Nice.
like I give up on this writing comics thing and
yeah,
drawing. Like now I just role play.
I
Just full
know.
time D&D.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like writing, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is with the way people consume comics now is that people do end up looking at certain panels really closely. Like
Yeah, I mean,
I totally get like why it's so important to like be both, like to be fast and like efficient and also like to like I don't know, to be good, I guess.
yeah.
But then like I'll see
Well,
people
to
sorry.
yeah. Oh no, I was just
I'll
gonna
see
add to that. Like when you look at a panel, it's important to know if it's like it's just bad enough to redraw.
yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah.
know?
And sometimes I'll see people like edit my like drawings or like my panels and I'm like, ew, like that drawing? Like I spent like 2 seconds on that and it looks
Wait, people are like editing your panels?
yeah, or they'll make like graphics out of them. Like it's kind of like early live journal
Oh,
like
okay.
making icons
Yeah.
and like but they do that on like a Tumblr level. I don't know. I think that's all they do on Tumblr now is that people like edit other people's work and
Weird.
then like
Yeah, they make like a collage of like gifs or like
yeah, like
panels and like
they'll make it's kind of like when people add like song lyrics or like the quotes from like the comic and then they'll like post that. Like they'll like cut out the drawing and like Photoshop or something and then like I don't know, color correct it even though I hate it when they do that.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I mean, I guess that's no different than like, you know, when I was younger, like, I mean, when I was a kid, scrapbooking or like,
Yeah.
you know, cutting out your favorite panels or like, you know, redrawing them or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like
Suppose
it's
it's the
pretty cool
same
but I'm
thing.
also yeah, but I'm also like oh no, like that tiny little drawing that gets like blown up like really big.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh
Yeah.
God. Like
Yep.
so
Welcome to
I feel like I've
comics.
been more conscious of that, but also like trying not to care as much.
Yeah, I think but with comics, I don't think I've ever been like 100% happy with anything I've done like in a comic.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'll be like, well, that's not so bad, or like, I'm kind of proud of this. But for the most part, everything I do, I'm like, that's good enough. Let's go to the next one. Because the longer you spend on something, the more you're going to make yourself crazy. And man, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the consistency and like just keeping up like your pace so
Yeah.
that you get faster and faster instead of
Yeah, and I
slower.
think I don't know. I'm talking specifically about draftsmanship here. I think the most important thing with comics is storytelling anyway.
Hmm.
Like I've read comics that are like Tom Gould actually, who does like stick figure comics. He did one called I feel like it was like The Adventures of Onion Jack or something like that. It
Hmm.
was like a free comic book day thing years ago, and it moved me to tears. I cried reading a comic about like stick figures, about a kid named
Yeah.
Onion Jack or whatever, and I'm just like, and I always go back to that in my head. I'm like, well, it's good to be consistent with your art, and it's good to, you have to make sure that the characters are recognizable and everything, and you're selling expressions and feeling, but the
Yeah.
storytelling is like the most important thing because if you can nail that, then you can communicate your story to your audience. And yeah, I get wrapped up in draftsmanship sometimes, and I think that's where one of my biggest weaknesses as a cartoonist comes in, and I think that's why I get burnt out
Yeah.
because I get too like,
Too
I
caught up
can't
in
draw this hand. you know, you end up like erasing a hole in the fucking paper with like,
or like
and then when you
or
go to ink
even
over it, it's all yeah, like your ink bleeds everywhere because you've erased your paper away.
Yeah.
like I've done that thing where like my eraser is like a little bit dirty and like maybe there's like a little bit of ink on it and I like try to erase something and it just makes it like so much worse. I'm like, what happened?
No,
It was going
or
fine and now it's like ruined.
or like this is like Inktober. Like every fucking day, I would like ink something and be like, okay, the ink is still wet. Don't erase it, and then
Like, don't do it.
immediately pick up my eraser and start erasing, thinking that like if I just erase
Yeah.
around the little wet spot, in I smudged every single drawing because I can't wait, and I know it. Oh, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, like I think sometimes I'll like if I'm like really messing up a lot, like smudging like a ton of ink everywhere, I'm just like I have to stop. Like I need to walk away like
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. I think that's an important thing is to know when to know when to walk away,
Yeah,
know when to stay.
like
I feel like someone made a song about that. But yeah, like knowing when to put something down and is like a super important lesson that I'm still learning.
yeah, it's like you always forget and then you're like, "Oh wait, I can like stop working for now and like do something else and then come back."
Yeah. Yeah, I think as artists it's a difficult thing because most people I know will like punish themselves by like sitting at their desk and like redrawing it or like working until they drive themselves mad, you
Yeah.
know?
And it's like you're not making it any better. You're not getting better at drawing like while you're there. Like
Yeah, yeah, you're probably just getting worse, actually.
yeah, exactly.
It's better just to do something else completely. Make a loaf of bread or something. I don't know. I'm gonna start heeding my own advice now.
Just have like a post-it like on your wall or something and it's like go make some bread. Like
Yeah.
go make a sandwich.
Make yourself a sandwich. I love sandwiches. Yeah.
Do you feel like pivoting into like a writing role has helped like enliven the medium for you? Like has I don't know, what have you learned from being in that role?
It's nice now because it's versatile, so I get a lot of different job opportunities. So before, when I would just get people being like, "Hey, do you want to draw this? Do you want to draw that?" Now it's like a lot more people consider me for other work other than drawing, which is nice. And it's just been kind of cool. Like I moved to Austin a few years ago, and I moved in with a friend of mine in his like spare bedroom. His name is Mike Harden, and he's in a few bands. And him and I had been friends for a while, and we just started talking about doing a rock opera together. And so now I'm like writing a rock opera. Like
Oh,
it's
that's so
like
Oh
awesome.
this.
wow.
It's crazy because it's like this is a skill that like I've been able to translate now and get better at, and I'm still have a lot to learn, as far as story structure and just getting like honing the craft, I suppose. But it's definitely like opened up a lot more doors for me in and outside of comics. And I don't know, I think it's before I was just writing for myself, like I did those 3 short stories, and I'd like to do more of those. But writing for other people has also helped me like learn more about like communicating and storytelling. So I don't know. It's been good. It's been a good break, and it's like also helped my I'm more confident now, I think.
Yeah.
You know, when you start doing something, you're like, oh my God, I don't know. Like, I think Gotham Academy was the first big book that I did as a writer, and that, like, I don't know, went really well. And it was it's one of those things where I'm like, well, maybe this is something that I like can do. Before I'm, you know,
Yeah.
nice to have like Mark Doyle who contacted me about it. Like, he was really confident in my skills, but I was like, I don't know. I've never done this before. It's probably not going to be good, but you know, it was a lot of fun to do, and I don't know. Confidence is good,
That's
and
cool.
just yeah, like having a new skill set.
Yeah, I feel
That's
like
awesome.
just having at least one person say like you can do it is like enough. Just because I feel like comics is so weird, like no one can really draw a comic until they actually do it. So it should be the same with writing, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, you never know too, because like I don't know. It's one of those things where I guess you just have to sit down and do it before you know if you even like doing it or not.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly.
And the writing is fun, but now I think I want to concentrate on like writing and drawing my own stuff. So it's been like a good like a few years of work, but like I feel like it's a pretty natural transition, and it's bringing me to a spot that I kind of knew that that's what I wanted to be doing, just like writing and drawing my own stuff again. But it's taken me years to like get to that point. And I'm like, well, I knew that's what I wanted to do all along, but it's, you know, sometimes you need to figure stuff out in a slow roundabout way.
What do you think made you like hesitant, like to start writing your own stuff? Was it like working with writers, like coming out from like because you went to art school, right?
Yeah, yeah. I went to SVA for animation actually, and I was there for a few
Mm,
years.
okay.
I dropped out, but then I ended up teaching there. So like oddly enough, somehow that happened. I think right out the gate, I was working with writers, and I had written and drawn my own like mini comics and stuff, but they were all like really weird. You know, they were like art school stuff. You're kind of
Yeah.
just like finding your voice and like experimenting a lot, and you know, you don't even know how to put a story together, but you're like, I'm just going to do a 5-page story about like who knows what, and it takes the weird form, and then you finish it and you do a new one. But then I started working with Brian Wood on Demo and Channel Zero, and after that, I just started. It was it was almost like you become an artist, and no one thinks of you as that you can do anything else besides that. You
Yeah.
know, so the work that you put out there with a writer, you're like, oh well, this person is an artist, so she'll need someone to work with.
Yeah.
You know, and after a while, it's like, well, I know that I can write. You know, or I know that I like writing and I like doing my own stuff, but it's like I don't know. It's just you end up falling into these like you know jobs that take years to do, and they're
Yeah.
good. And you know every one of them challenged me in ways that like I think if I had been drawing it, if I had been writing for myself, I don't think I would have challenged myself in the same ways. I would have been like, what draw a car? No, I don't want to draw any cars. No cars in my next book.
You're like
So
only
there would be
four.
no cars in my next book. Yeah, only
Yeah.
trees, like sad ladies, you know.
Like evil women and like men with beards and forests.
Yeah. Yeah, some forests, some like broody men, you know. I don't know. That's probably all my next books are gonna be. So
And one car. There's gonna be one car and
and
like one panel.
yeah. I'd rather draw a horse than a car, I feel like. And I know a lot of people who would
Same.
disagree with that. So
Yeah. It takes all kinds for sure.
yeah, yeah, it does, exactly. So period pieces from here on out. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing to like look back on your
That's cool.
career sometimes and think about like the whys and what brought you to where you are. And it's not like I'm upset about where I've laid. I actually think I'm at a very good spot right now. So yeah,
how has I don't know, collaborating been for you?
It's
Like
been
that
good.
whole experience of writing.
Yeah, like it's cool to see the other side of it, you know, just being an artist for so long and then jumping into writing. It's also it's
Mm-hmm.
hard because as a writer you're working on way more stories at once. And although I don't find it difficult to jump from project to project, I do find it difficult to like care as much, you know, or like maybe not care, that might be the wrong word, like invest myself as much, you know?
Yeah,
Like I
totally.
always feel like you're like
Mm-hmm.
you have one project that's like it's mostly the newest project you're working on. That's like the baby and it gets all the attention, you know. It's
Yeah.
like the one you're the most excited about and all the others you're just like, well, I guess I'll just work on this now. And it's like, you know, a comfortable old slipper where you just kind of put them on but you don't treat them very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's weird too, you know, going back to like talking about social media and it's like how like I don't think that my social media affects my sales at all. Like at this point, I've just been thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't even know how to like, how do you like a book like Southern Cross that I'm doing, which is like a horror, a space horror sci-fi book with Andy Belanger drawing it,
Yeah.
and Lily Rich is coloring it, and it's like the book looks incredible. I think it's a lot of fun. Like the characters are great, but it's like how do you get people to buy that? You know, without I don't know, like hiring someone to like sell it for you because it's like
Yeah.
you
I don't
know.
know.
And as a writer I think more about that than I did as the artist, you know, like when I was drawing I
Mm.
would just draw the book and then I'd get it out there and I was like now everyone else can deal with it, but I don't know, maybe it's just I have more time to think about that stuff, or like I feel like it's maybe
Yeah.
more my responsibility to figure out like how to get this out in front of people, and I don't know how to get people to read my books. You know, it's just weird.
Yeah, I don't even know.
It's like yeah.
I feel like it's like because the artist works a lot more on the tail end, I guess. So maybe it's like you're too
Yeah.
close to it to care as much. But then like you're a
Yeah,
little
and
bit
I
further away.
yeah, I think also as an artist you spend so much energy doing each book, and usually I would never have like a second of downtime on a book. I would have like, you know, my 22 pages a month or whatever. And then the second you finish, you got another script in front of you.
Yeah.
And so there's no like rest, or like you post pictures of it and people get stoked. They're like, "Yay, that's a cool panel." And you're like, "Okay, cool." You know, but as a writer, you can't really post too much about it because you're like, here's a snippet of dialogue. Ooh, no, nobody cares. You know, like here's a witty metaphor that I wrote. Like nobody gives a shit.
Here's like the script.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a print that a script that I printed out. It's like it's a different kind of thing because I think as a writer, I start thinking more about that stuff. You know, like the how do you market something? How do you you know, how do you get this in front of people, or what, you know, like publishing or all the kind of nitty gritty stuff that I didn't really worry too much about as, or I thought I did worry about it, but I just didn't think about it. I thought about it in a different way. I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Yeah. I feel like for me, I just always thought, I don't know, like I feel like maybe growing up a bit too much on the internet like kind of made me feel this way, but it just felt so uncool to promote things the way a lot of people do now.
Yeah,
So I just never got into the habit of doing that. It just felt like really lame and cheesy. Like I
I
don't
know. Oh my God. I feel like a dick every time I post anything like,
I know, yeah, you're like, should I write something like funny or like witty or should it just be like really bare bones and like just like put it out there and like that's it.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's weird too because like the comic stuff, you know, I don't really worry too much about it because you know if it's the book's out there, it's gonna do what it does. I feel like no matter what I post, so I don't really worry
Yeah.
too much about it, other than just like trying to get people to know that it's out. That's what I
Yeah.
do. But the doing the print thing is different because it's like when I have a print that comes out, then I'll only make like 50 or 60 or whatever, and that's when I get annoying on the internet. That's when I'm like, I have a new print out this Friday. Like, everybody go and buy it. And that's when I start feeling like nervous that I'm posting too much about like a particular thing. But that's also
Yeah.
like the way that I get people to know about it. And even after the print will come out, I'll have people message me being like, oh, I didn't see that your print came out and I missed it. And I'm like, well, that's just like shitty Instagram algorithms or whatever, you know?
Or like them not being online
Mm-hmm.
all the time.
Yeah, or them just like not, there's so many people that I follow that I miss so much shit because like I'm just not, scrolling all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It is weird. I think I don't know how many people would actually pick a book up without if they hadn't already thought to do that, I guess, just based on
Yeah,
promotion.
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think that's where like PR would come in, you know?
You should hope so.
And yeah. So this is the thing that I'm like kind of toying with the idea of like PR because we're gonna have to get someone to do PR for this rock opera that we're working on.
Oh
And then it's like,
yeah.
well, how much would PR person? I know a few people in comics who have PR agents and they do pretty well. But then I'm like, am I at the point where I need a PR agent? If I'm just gonna go back to doing like weird little like one shots, like fantasy one shots about brooding men, I feel like I don't know if a PR agent would like do any good there, but who knows? I don't even know. It's like
Yeah,
a whole I don't know. And the comic industry is changing so fast too, you know? Like self-publishing is getting more and more viable and I've always felt the itch to like go back to that and I don't know.
yeah, I think there's something about self-publishing that's really like nice. It's just that you can put something out there and that's kind of like it's there and you don't have to be waiting on like Diamond or anything or like other factors and you just kind of see
Yeah.
like the results immediately in a way.
Yeah, it's like you're not beholden to this like big system that it seems too big and like confusing and I don't really understand how it works. I mean, I have an
Yes.
idea, I guess, but it's nice. It's kind of cool to feel like you're being subversive or like, like, yeah, I'm like outside the fuck the man, fuck the government. I'm like not working in the system or whatever, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're not getting like
And
a W-2 or anything. You're not.
yeah, yeah, or just like you're not like you put the book out exactly how you want it to be, and any problem with it is your problem.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like so many times you'll put a book out and you're just like, well, I don't like A, B, or C, but I didn't have anything to do with that, or like, I wish I had more control over this thing, or whatever it is. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And I always hate when people, or I guess hate's a strong word, but I also don't like it when people assume that I didn't have anything to do with something and I did, and just like there's not. Sometimes it's just out of your hands, like the way people consume it. But when it's just like all your thing, then they're like, oh, it's like it has to be all of them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a control freak about that stuff, but I do like having, like being able to like do all the design work or like have control. Like Image put out the collection
Hello.
of my graphic novel by Chance of Providence last year. So it's like these three short stories, and I had done a hardcover version of it like 3 years ago or something, and it was kind of like the way I always envisioned the book being. And
Yeah.
Image did a great job with the new one, and I got to like design it and do all that stuff, so that was fun. But then it's like the printer did it on all the wrong paper, and I was like,
Oh God. Wait, what
Oh
was
I
it?
wanted the
What
no.
was it supposed to?
uncoated matte, like. So it's just one of those things where you're just like, I wish that, I don't know, if I had been able to do that and get like a proof of the book, like maybe doing it on my own, it would have been like come out exactly the way that I wanted it to be,
Yeah.
you know? I don't know, like little things like that that's what I kind of like best about self-publishing. And you don't have to make like a ton of
It's nice to have
books.
that control.
You
Yeah.
make like 100 books and you're done.
Yeah. And it's great now. I live in Austin and I've got guys that they run Flat File ATX and they
Oh,
do all my
nice.
distribution for
Mhm.
yeah, they do my distribution for my prints and pins and stuff like that and my Inktober book. So we did the Inktober book and that went really well. So I'm like, man, I'm just gonna have them like it's like a built-in distribution system,
That is
you know?
nice.
And like
Oh, that's
yeah, we've
awesome.
kind of been working for a few years on like perfecting it and like figuring out all the bumps and everything. And it just seems like, maybe this is the way forward. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe everyone should just
Working outside the
self-publish from now
system.
on.
Well, I'm at a different place too because I've had so much work out there where I can tell people go do this and there enough eyes will be on it where I can like sell a pretty good amount. Like I think I made like 1,000 of my little Inktobers and they're like I don't know how much we sold. I feel like we sold like maybe 500. And there's just like, and I made extra just to like put them up, you know? So
Yeah.
I sold
Oh,
pre-orders.
nice.
I paid for the book with pre-orders
Mm-hmm.
and then printed it and then sold them all. Sold like whatever. And I overprinted by a bunch just so I could have them for like conventions and stuff like that for the following year. But like,
Oh, cool.
yeah, I feel like I'm at a good spot to like continue to self-publish because of the work, the body of work that I've had has like lets me do that without any kind of financial fear, you know?
Yeah, you have like such a solid like readership now. Like it seems like it would be easy for you to just be able to like stay afloat on your own, making your own work, which is
Yeah,
really
and
cool.
that's what doing prints actually has done in the last few years. Like I think most of my income, well, not most of my income, I would say probably like half comes from prints, and the other half is
Oh,
like
wow.
comics and like
Wow, that's awesome.
illustration gigs and stuff. So like, yeah, it's nice to like. I feel like the last few years I've been kind of like doing more stuff on my own and trying to like not be like not have to do work. I mean, I still have to do work, but like I don't have to take as many jobs, and I can be more like I can have more discretion on like the jobs that I choose. Like I don't feel like, when this point in time, like 5 or 6 years ago, I probably would have said yes to everything that would come across my desk
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it's you just feel like you have to. You're like, I can't turn this job down. Like I need the money. Or like, oh, who knows if I'll get another opportunity like this. But now
Yeah.
it's like
Mm-hmm.
I've been kind of slowly being able to like put stuff out there and get people to like, point people to the direction of like my web store or like get people interested in like buying the prints and like learning how to print more and like higher quality, lower quantity, that kind of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out like what do I do next then? I don't want to
Hmm.
get people too burnt out on prints. Like maybe I'll make a mug next. I don't
Oh,
know.
you should do
But it's just like, right? Like, but then I got to worry about like shipping. Like they're probably all going to get chipped in the shipping or something.
You should.
I'll figure
You
something
should.
out. It's an interesting thing because now I sit around and I think like, what kind of stuff do I want to make? And like, what kind of comics do I want to write for myself? And it's kind of like it's a nice change from, having to worry constantly about like where my next job is going to come from when I can make my next job.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So it's been like a slow transition to this, but I find myself in like a really good spot.
Yeah, I would love like a Becky mug, like if you could do the thing where like people put something on the inside, like inside of the mug. So like at the bottom it could be like a skull or like a man's
Oh
face.
yeah. Yeah, I did a pint
Or like a
glass like
sexy
that.
hunter, and like as the coffee gets
Yeah,
lower,
like you
like
see him
it
like cut
reveals
it
like his
apart.
bod.
You like stare into his eyes.
That's so good. Or like he's on the outside and you do that thing where it's like you pour the liquid in and as the cup
Oh
gets
yeah.
hotter, like his armor disappears.
Yeah. And he's naked.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that might be fun. See, like that,
Yeah, you should
like I love thinking
I
about
think
stuff
you
like
should
that.
do both of those. Two different mugs
Done.
for two different
Done.
audiences. I hope you're
We'll
writing
do a
it
run of
down.
two, one for each of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Wait, so
That's so cool though. Like it's so like encouraging and like inspiring to hear about how like chill you are in
mhm.
your career right now, because I feel like I'm always like worrying about that, like, oh man, like what kind of like support am I going to have in the future? But it's cool to see like another like woman artist who has like done all this work and like also kind of like stuck stylistically to like their guns
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
been able to build such a solid base. Like that's really cool.
it's been a lot of like trial and error, you know. And I think it's like one of
Hmm.
those things people will ask me like, well, how did you break into comics? It's like it's different for everybody.
Hmm.
So like the path that I'm taking is like weird and completely roundabout, and like I don't know what I'm doing, and it's
Did you
taken
ever
years to
like
like get to this point.
did you ever come up against people, especially like early in your career, that wanted you to change styles or like wanted you to dress differently or
Yeah, I think that's like just the product of being younger, I
yeah.
suppose, and like not quite as like, my style wasn't really defined when I was younger. I'm like, well, I kind of draw like like I read a lot of manga and like so kind of draw like that. But then I also like read a lot of X-Men, so like kind of draw not really like that, but it's weird, weird art. When I started working for Vertigo, Shelley Bond was my editor, and she's like, "Can you make it look like less manga?" So I was like,
You're
"No
like,
full
no.
bleed panels."
You're like, I.
Well, that's what I did. I changed the storytelling. So instead of changing the way that I drew, I'm like, she's like, "I want you to make it less like manga," and I was like, "Well, everything that I had been doing before that had like full bleed, a lot, or like different."
Yeah.
Like my paneling was much more like manga influenced, I think, and like the way
Hmm.
that I told the story. So when she's like, make it look less like manga, I was like, instead of changing the way that I draw, it was like, oh, I'll change the way I tell the story. So it's like a little more straightforward, like just, straight on shots and kind of no full bleed. And
Yeah, that
a lot of
makes.
times I would get hired and people would be like, "Oh, can you draw like Paul Pope?" And I was like, "I don't. I draw with a brush." Like, question, I don't know. So
Who's
I
Paul
always
Pope
felt
drawn
like when
with?
I was, yeah, it was like when I was younger, I would get a lot of people being like, "Can you draw like this?" And I think it was because I was an artist. They could probably pay me less, and I didn't have like an established style. But now I'm confident that when people come to me for work, they want me because they're like, I want you because of the way that you draw, which is a nice change from
Yeah,
like
that's
10 years
awesome.
ago. And I think that's just something of like building up your own portfolio and like what you're saying, like sticking to your guns, like, doing self-published books or like doing books that you're passionate about.
Hmm.
I think that's the way to like keep your style defined instead of just taking work just for the sake of it. And I was talking earlier that like I'd done a lot of licensed work. I mean, for better or for worse, but like, the licensed work I got to work on was really cool. It was like Conan the Barbarian. That was like perfect for me. Like
Hmm.
it's something that I
Yeah.
could get like invested in and psyched about when I drew because it's like that's something that I would probably want to draw anyway. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny because I always feel like, especially when I first found your work, I didn't necessarily think it was like super manga-ish. Like, I think if anything, like maybe it's like my like teen brain, which is not like open enough to like understanding that. But then, like, especially as I got older, people would be like, "Oh, like manga influenced artists like Becky Cloonan." I'm like, "What? I guess I could see that." But like
It's
before I didn't
yeah.
really, so I was like, I guess that makes sense that Becky like would draw a lot with other like artists that do like manga and like had a more like obviously like influenced style. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It was funny too because I mean it was, I'm old, so I like when I graduated high school I didn't have the internet. I got internet like when I was in college.
Hmm.
So and I was like, "What? What do you mean there's a whole like world out here that I don't know about?" And then I found like on like forums and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
You remember forums?
Yes.
That's like a
Oh
thing
yeah.
now. Now I use like Slacks and stuff like that and Discord, so
And
like
people use
that's
like
kind of
Discord
fun.
and
But
Oh
Slack.
yeah.
They have like normal
yeah, like
conversations.
yeah, exactly. That's kind of like the new forum, I suppose. But it was like, me and like Brian O'Malley, Corey Lewis. There was like a whole group,
Oh
like this guy
yeah.
Locke. Like it was like pre DeviantArt, but I think a lot of those people like it's like the whole thing, I guess, that you're talking about. But we were all kind of like manga influenced, and it, I think, for myself anyway, it just kind of like has been a slow transition into like something a little different. But if you go back, I mean, maybe I'll send you some of my old stuff later that you're not
Please
allowed to
do.
show anybody.
Yeah.
I love seeing people's old
Oh
art.
man. Yeah. And I think some of it was like, when I was in high school, you're trying to figure out like how you draw, and then you get to college and I moved from a tiny town in New Hampshire. Actually, it's not tiny. It was like a moderate sized town, I guess. But New Hampshire, and there's like nothing culturally happening there. And
Hmm.
I moved to New York City, which is like the mecca of culture, I suppose. It's like you're exposed to all these different things, like just art and music and different types of cinema and people from all over, and you make all these new friends, and everyone is like, I was in art school, so it was like my foundation year. I was just met all these people who were interested in different things, and you start just like like my art went crazy.
Hmm.
You know? 'Cause it's like
Yeah.
it went from being like this little thing where I was very like focused and like I was only exposed to like a few different things and the only, I didn't have too many people around who could challenge me and like make me draw better. But when I got to college, it was weird because there was like I'm trying to like the people in my group when we would hang out. I was part of this group called Meat House,
Hmm.
and it was like Brandon
Mm.
Graham and Farrell Dalrymple, Nate Powell, and James Jean, Tomer Hanukkah. Like it was like these, and everybody is like they've always been talented, and now they're even
Yeah.
like more talented, and it's crazy. But to be friends with these people and to like have them like constantly raising the bar, it made my art go in like completely different directions. So art school, like I don't know if it was worth it for the classes, but it was definitely
Yeah.
worth it for the people that I met and the things I was exposed to that I would never have met or been exposed to like otherwise.
Hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like whenever people ask if art school is worth it, I'm like, I don't know. Like, what exactly are you going there for? And like, what do you expect out of it? Just because I feel like I didn't get what I thought I would out of it, but in a lot of ways, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know if I learned a lot in art. Well, I did take a buttload of life drawing classes, which like I think for animation majors was like the requirement.
yeah.
But like I definitely became a better artist like technically,
Hmm.
but it was like the people that I was exposed to that
Yeah.
really made a difference.
It's just hard to know like what it would have been like if you hadn't done that exact same thing. This is
Yeah.
why it's so hard to give people advice about that sort of thing, just because you don't know.
Yeah, and then I have people who, I've met people who did like so anti-art school because it's like you're just throwing your money away and it's like, well, I get why you would some people would come away from art school and think that. But then I also think like, I mean, maybe you shouldn't go to school then. Maybe you should just like move to a new place or like expose yourself to different things.
Hmm.
And I think also in your youth, you're way more like your brain is just soaking up all this stuff. And I mean, it's not to say that I can't like learn anything new, but I'm much slower to change now that I've like kind of, my
You're like
the way that
set.
I draw is like, yeah, like it's like I'm more confident and comfortable in the way that I draw, and like I have, things that I enjoy doing, and I still like to learn new things. I did my first like lino cut like a year ago or something, and
Oh,
I'd
Oh,
like to
cool.
do more of that.
that's cool.
But like,
I don't think I've ever done a
yeah,
line of.
it was fun. I ended up with like a buttload of like V-shaped cuts on my hand because I'm an asshole and I don't know how to. Apparently, don't know what I'm doing.
Oh
But
no.
but like I don't know. It's one of those things where you have to think about the image like in reverse because you're doing it to get like your block printing. And so for
Yeah.
me, I was just like, oh my God, it's crazy. And it made me just like, I like things that are going to challenge me and like make me, I feel like that's going to be something that I can like hopefully do more of or have time to do more of one day and like apply
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
to what I'm doing like normally.
Is there anything like specifically because you've been doing like so much illustration and like I don't know, you have like really cool screen prints and I don't know, has anything like made you want to experiment visually in comics using like the techniques you've been like working in or like working with,
Um,
I should say.
mm, I, phew, I don't know. It's hard to say because like the screen printing a comic would be so ridiculous. It would be
Yeah.
insane. My old mini comics, I used to do the covers were screen printed on like the
Oh,
original
nice.
print
Hmm.
runs. So that was kind of cool. It made them like a little more tactile. So when people would pick them up at cons, they'd be like, "Ooh!" So I could, I could be like charge $5 or $10 for a 25-page book or whatever because they felt
Yeah.
like they were worth it. It's like you're
Hmm.
tricking people into into buying this comic. But yeah, I don't know. I think if anything, it's just I have to like unlearn some of that to get back into
Hmm.
comics. Like
Hmm.
just the not worry so much about like the not noodling around so much with my lines and like
Hmm.
just going faster. I can't spend 2 weeks on a page. It's ridiculous. Who does that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally that's like so unsustainable.
I know. I know. Maybe I'll just move to France and like draw BD or something.
Yeah.
40 pages a year, that's gonna be me.
Oh man.
Yeah. But they're gonna be beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll
well,
be
they have to
beautiful.
be at that rate.
Yeah, they better be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So what are you like
Yeah.
itching to do for your next comic? Are you like,
Well, I've got two books on the horizon. One is an erotic horror book that I'm going to be doing with Tula Lote.
ooh,
And I've kind of
Oh
been
wow.
like talking about this for like a little bit. We've been talking about it for like about almost a year, I think. And so it's we're both writing it and we're both drawing it.
oh
And it's kind of
nice.
like half
That's fun.
dream, half reality. So we're going to be like melding our art styles and like the way she colors with those like really cool washes and stuff like that. And it's going to be very sexy and hopefully it'll be very scary or maybe disturbing. Maybe I'll go for more of like a disturbing than scary. I don't know.
Like
So
disturbing
right
but
now we're thinking, yeah, and well, I think like eroticism lends itself really easy to that. And horror in comics is like a weird thing to do because it's like you don't have the jump scares really. I mean, I guess the page turn, but there's no music, there's no sound. So it's kind of a
yeah.
hard genre to like really I felt like the most I can do is like vaguely spooky or kind of creepy, or like a lingering like unease. Like that's what I go for. But like adding the erotic element makes it like a little more creepy because that like it's more visceral, I think,
Yeah.
and it
Like
kind
it's
of
kind
goes
of
hand in hand.
because I feel like intimacy is when you're at your most vulnerable, and then like if something
Yeah.
scary happens, you're like, oh no,
Yeah, like, oh no, but I have a boner. Like, what's going on?
like it's kind of hot.
Yeah, it's kind of hot, but I don't know how I feel about it. Like, that's how I want them to feel when they close the book.
Awesome.
Why am I so turned on right now? Yeah, you turn that on its head. We're just looking for a publisher right now for it. So we have a few people that we're talking to. And it's just gonna like I think we're just gonna go straight to like graphic novel with it.
Oh
Oh,
nice.
nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And then I got a second book that I'm working on slowly. And that's
Ooh,
Oh,
daunting because
cool.
it's like a long historical kind of I hesitate to call it an epic because it's just a graphic novel. It's not like an epic, but in my head it's an epic because I haven't drawn comics in so long. But yeah,
That's awesome. So is it like fiction or is it gonna be like nonfiction or
it's historical fiction, so it's based on. It's going
okay.
to be. It takes place during the first half of the Hundred Years' War,
Oh
and
wow.
it's loosely based on an Arthur Conan Doyle story. But it's so
Oh
loosely
cool.
based because there's like characters that are briefly mentioned that I'm turning into like main characters. So it's like kind of taking what he wrote and like basing a story around. So it's kind of like fan fiction, I suppose.
Oh wow.
Kind of like, kind of like that. But
That's awesome.
it's coming along. It's slow, but it's steady. Yeah, and that's going to be like the rest of the next 2 years of my life, I suppose.
okay, so it's coming
Wow.
out 2020, 20.
Yeah, oh God, I have no idea. It's gonna I feel like my next 2 years between these two books are like pretty solidly booked. Which is so nice too, because when people are like, "Hey, I've got this project," and I'm like, "I'm booked until 2020." Like, call me again in
Yeah.
2 years. That's
Yeah.
always a nice feeling.
Would you still be doing like covers and like illustrations on the side, or is it just mostly focusing on comics?
I still do covers. I just took. I'm doing Moon Knight covers right now, which is fun. And that it's like, it's kind of nice just to keep myself like on the shelves. So it's like people don't really forget you. It's like, oh, I've got a cover coming out, even if it's not a full book. It's like, oh, at least my name is out there every month, like in
Yeah,
previews. Or like,
Yeah, yeah.
I think, I think as a cartoonist, it's like working on a graphic novel. That's like the scariest thing is that like you'll be forgotten about, and then when your graphic novel does come out, it's like a little drop, and then like some ripples, and then it's it, and you're like, I did this work for 2 years, and it's like plink. I guess I'll
yeah,
just work on something else, you know.
yeah. I
So
think
That's why you should work on a monthly comic at the same time.
Oh
And
God.
kill yourself.
Well, that's why I want to do like more short
Just
stories,
kidding,
just
don't do
like
that.
slowly. Yeah, I want to do more like of the shorts, like those slowly kind of like get a few more short story ideas down and slowly work on those and like maybe release them digitally or something. Like I don't know. Like I don't
It's a
know. I
good
feel like
strategy.
yeah, and there's so many different ways to do it right now too. That's the thing. It's like I don't have to go with a publisher. I can go with a publisher if I want, but it's a whole thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely
you
feel
got
like
options.
monthly comics feels like the most restricting thing like that I've ever done.
It does. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
it's
don't
it's
know.
kind of like I don't know. I can't imagine like advising anyone to do it, like especially if they have never done a comic before and they don't really care if it's monthly or not. But I don't know. It's interesting. Like I think especially now there's some as you said there's like so many options and like so many different ways to do it. It's just like a matter of actually
Yeah.
doing it.
And like when you're doing a monthly book, it's serialized and it changes the way your story's told and the way
Yeah.
that you think about the story. And then like the here's the thing that like here's the thing with like monthly comics that like kind of the thing that bugs me most is that this book, whatever book I'm making, whatever story I'm telling, it's going to live on as a graphic novel. And I
Yeah.
want that graphic novel to have like a smooth, like easy, like when you read it, I want it to feel natural. I don't want it to feel like these little, you know, like a serialized story that's been broken up and like smushed into a book. So I think that's where I get like my hesitance to like jump into another monthly book after this is like I want to tell a story specifically with like different ideas and how I want it to be told, and I don't want it to be to be beholden to like the format of like a monthly book. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
it's
monthlies
weird.
are really hard.
Yeah, and like Gotham Academy had a lot of problems with that because like a lot of our readers would only pick the book up, you know, because they're younger kids and like young adults, teens, and they're like most of them read the book as a graphic novel. So it was like hard for us to like DC really wanted like, oh, we want short monthly like monster of the week kind of thing, but I'm like we want to tell like a longer story because it's like we want each book to feel like a semester, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's and it's hard to and we want like a lot of character development and a lot of like interpersonal relationships and like nuance and a lot of builds. And then DC was like, well, we want it to be like episodal and like and I'm like, but this is not when you read it, it's not really gonna work. And then there was like a short time when like Batman was a robot and it was like Gordon in the bat suit.
Yeah. I
And
remember
there
that.
was a right who doesn't remember that, but like there was a there was a point when Batman was going to show up in our book and we had to have the discussion. It's like, well, Batman's not a robot because like what happens to the 13-year-old kid who like goes to the comic and she picks up the book and she's like, why is Batman a robot? I don't understand, because she doesn't
Yeah.
read the other Batman books. Like we're trying to make a book that's specifically for an audience that reads books mostly in bookstores, and that was, I think, a difficult thing with that particular book. You know, with something like Punisher, it's a lot easier because it's like he shoots dudes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have interpersonal relationships. His character has been
Yeah.
built. We don't need to build his personality anymore. Like it's like he is Jason Voorhees with a gun,
Yeah.
basically.
Yes.
And like that's cool. But like that's why Punisher works so much as like a like and that comic didn't come without its own difficulties and you know, mostly because I don't know anything about guns. That's like the, the hardest thing. I was like, well, I guess I gotta be a gun person now.
You're like, I'll just Google guns a bunch.
Oh, I googled so many. Like you would like if the FBI is like monitoring my computer, I swear they're gonna be so confused by like the searches. My search history is a
They're like,
mess. It's a violent, horrible mess.
Yeah, I'm always
Can
scared
you
to
rip
I
Google
just
someone's
things.
face
ordered a
off
bunch
with
of
a bear
guns off
trap?
Amazon.
I'm in Texas now. I could just like walk down the street and probably find one.
That's
Oh
true.
yeah.
Yeah, that's like an interesting point about the continuity thing, or like, because I feel like so many like big two books are like very referential of other like storylines and like other people's books. like
Yeah,
they're
totally.
like, check out this other comic, and I'm like, no, like I'm already reading this one. Like, can't
Yeah,
I don't
there's a
know.
lot of stuff like that. That's all the tie-ins and I can't, there's some of me loves that,
Yeah,
and then other parts of me, it's like it just depends on the book. Like Gotham Academy does not need that because it's
yeah.
just the nature of the book being a YA comic didn't need tie-ins. But I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either. I think there's like a part of everyone that wants everyone to know like everything else or something, or like there's like
Yeah.
some like completionist part of a lot of fans that they just want to read a bunch of books, and like I get that, but it's also like a lot of kids are not going to read that, or like some people just want to read comics for like the artist or like the writer, and like that's it. Like they're not
Yeah, and some
that
people
invested.
don't care about that at all, It's like they
Yeah,
don't care about
exactly.
the teams. They just want to read their like I just want to read a Colossus book,
Yeah.
you know. Definitely some books work better as, a monthly format. And I think the types of stories that I want to tell right now, I don't think will work like that. And format definitely dictates how your story is going to be told, you know.
Hmm.
A little frustrating.
Yeah, I think it's just hard to know like until you've actually done it, like how like
Yeah.
where the difficulties lie, I guess.
I have a phone call I have to take because it's about this delivery. So hold on for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Hello?
Oh my god. Whose dog is that? Is
Hey.
that you, Sloan?
No, it's not mine, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked.
I know.
Hey.
Hi, welcome
Hi.
back.
Yeah, sorry about that. They have there's a china cabinet, I guess, that I was supposed to someone was picking up, but it's like
Oh.
separated into two
Ooh.
parts. And he's like, unfortunately, we don't
Oh
take just
God.
the top part. We need the top and the bottom. So I'm like, I don't know. You have to.
You're like, this is
You're like, do what you gotta
complicated.
do.
I know. I'm like,
Like,
I
I
don't
don't
know
know
what to
anything.
do. And like, then it's like they had to because the doors are all open, so I had to like load up the cats and the dog into the bedroom. And I'm like, everybody trying to wrangle these animals. I'm an animal wrangler. Yeah, that
Great.
was Sophie over here barking up a storm. So I heard her
So
freaking
cute.
out. I was like, Sophie,
Oh man.
shut up.
Well, we won't keep you much longer. We just were like we wanted to like talk about like you as a writer right now, which I know you touched on a little bit, but like do you feel like your audience and like kind of like the comics journalist scene in general has like treated you differently as a writer? Like do you feel like you're getting like kind of more accolades now than before as just an artist?
Um, yeah, I think writers do get way more credit than artists in the comic industry.
Oh yeah.
It's totally a thing. It's like they'll won't give artists credit on the books, or they'll be like, "Oh, Becky Cloonan's Punisher," and I'm like, "Yes, but Steve Dillon and Matt Horak both, joined forces to make that book a success or what it is." And Carl Kerschel was integral to Gotham Academy. It wouldn't have been anything, and Andy Belanger, like Southern Cross, was his idea. So like,
Yeah.
I don't. As a writer, it's weird because I don't know. You're given different kind of accolades, and you're like the brains of the operation, I guess, even though that's not really true. And being on both sides of the fence with that, and you guys as artists, you bring just as much to the table as any writer, as far as like how the story's told or like making decisions and character designs and things like that. Things that like, that the writer has nothing to do with. You'll just, as an artist, you put in so much extra things into the book to make it a reality. And so I do
That's
think
true.
that, writers are given like kind of an unfair amount of credit. Although as a writer, I kind of enjoy that now.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's what it's like.
I'm
That's
like,
why people write
oh,
these things.
yeah,
Like
that's
this is
nice.
nice.
Yeah, I can get used to this. It's kind of like but yeah, it's a totally different thing, and it's, I don't know. I feel like every artist I work with is different too. So every story that I end up doing ends up being different. There are some writers that
Yeah.
when they work with certain artists, it's like the epitome of the pinnacle of what they can do. Like, I feel like whenever I see Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale work together, you're going to get this amazing story because they like vibe off each other, There's so much chemistry between those two. And the same thing with like Frank Quietly and Grant Morrison. You know, you're going to
Yeah,
get
for
this
sure.
like incredible book because you found your a collaborative partner that is like you speak a different language to each other, you know, and it's like they work really well together. Like I don't know if there's many people who can in like visualize a Grant Morrison script like Frank Quietly can. So,
Yeah,
and you
for
know, and the
sure.
stuff that like, you know, when Jeff Loeb writes with Tim Sale, Tim sells everything on this like super emotional level, and it's like it's perfect. Everything that they do together is like a masterpiece. So, I think as a writer, you really have to like know your artist, and like the more that you know them, and the more that you work well with them. You know, when I was doing Punisher, I don't think I met Matt Horak until like halfway through the run was over or something. Like we met last June, I think, like late June, and like
Oh
by then,
wow.
like he only had a few issues left. So, like I'm like, man, I wish we had actually met earlier because like sometimes you meet someone, you're like, we get along so well, and it's like now we like you can put a face with the name, and you're not just sending pages off to the ether to like you know getting stuff back. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like it's a
Yeah, that's
true.
interesting because like you get put together with artists on books, right? Especially like for the bigger ones.
Yeah, like I wasn't aware of Matt until we worked together on Punisher, and now I'm like, you know, like maybe we'll work together again one day. Like we had a lot of fun, and you know, he's a person that I really got along with, and that's the kind of people that you want to work together with, you know. And comics is like a true collaboration, you know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. Writing's taught me a lot, but it's also like you know the way you're treated as a writer is totally different than the way you're treated as an artist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. And it's like I don't think like writer artist like soloist artists
Yeah,
get
the
even
auteur.
that much as much accolades as just the writer either.
Yeah,
People that do their own work, I'm like, but shouldn't they be like at the top if they're doing it all? Like
yeah, it's definitely like a thing. Like the writer is like
it's very weird.
it's a weird job, and
Maybe yeah, maybe it's just because a lot of American comics are just like you do your job and like you're supposed to do it well. They don't care so much about like being good at everything.
yeah. And I
I
think
guess,
people
yeah.
follow writers more than they follow artists as well. I mean, there's definitely people who, you know,
Yeah.
I'll pick it up if so and so's drawing it for sure. But I think for the most part, writers are the ones to have like a following, you know?
So weird.
It is, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just our industry, but, and I think the thing with writer artists don't work, people who write and draw their own stuff. We need a better word for that. And I keep wanting to say auteur, but it sounds like, you know, kind of douchey. I, you're not seeing these people work in the monthly comic game. You're seeing them work mostly in graphic
Yeah.
novels. And I think that's why like the dialogue about them is different because the people writing about them are different. You know, you're not seeing them being written about in like, I'm going to say quote unquote mainstream comics journalism because, I mean, what is mainstream comics? Really should be
Yeah.
the book industry
Yeah.
because they sell way more than like the comic, like any of the big two probably combined,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly.
Like look at Raina Telgemeier. She's like the best example of that. You're,
Yeah.
that is mainstream comics.
Yeah.
It always just makes me crazy because like our industry's so it's so vibrant and diverse as far as like what is a comic. It's like then you have like you know we've got monthly comics and we've got graphic novels and book you know comics in bookstores and comics done by book publishers and there's like web comics and all these industries you know people should look at it and be like man comics are great look at all these different types of comics and all these people making them and look at how many different ways there are to like promote and put your comics out there and to tell stories but we're also stuck in these little like little I don't know compartments you know it's like well
Yeah.
I'm a monthly I like superhero comics and I'm going to do this and this is what I read or this is what I it's like it's such a weird it's such a weird industry because it's so big and so amazing but it's also like so convoluted and small and backwards at the same time
Yeah.
Yes.
it's just like it's so young, but like the people that seem to like gatekeep it, like especially like the fans that are like gatekeepers in a way,
Yeah.
they like act like it's this like I don't know, this like old tradition and just like no, it's not
I
really.
know.
It's
I know. I like shake him like a little baby and be like, "Don't you understand?" I mean, you don't shake babies. Don't shake babies.
yeah,
That's not good. But do you know what I mean? It's like, it's also like, who does that? Don't you have other things to do? Like, what?
yeah, exactly.
If you love
Like who
comics
cares
so
like who
much, why wouldn't you want everyone to read them? Why wouldn't you want
yeah,
the
or
best
like
for this for your industry? Why wouldn't you want more people reading this book? Or why wouldn't you want Marvel to make more books for more people? Like it's only going to make like a healthier industry. Isn't that what you want? Like
yeah.
it just seems totally backwards and like anyone doing that kind of shit needs to get a life. Find a hobby that is like, beneficial to your own mental health maybe because I don't
Just
know.
Yeah.
they'll like be like I think it's just like a personality thing where people just act that way no matter what.
Yeah, for sure. And it
like
stinks that it's like there's people like that in our industry because I do love comics. And
yeah,
like when I think about it, I'm like, man, like 99% of the people that I've met in comics are incredible. Like from people, the readers and like fans, cosplayers, and other artists and people who work at publishers. Like my negative experiences like are so few in comparison to all the positive experiences I've had in this industry, which is why like I'll do interviews and sometimes they'll ask me like, oh, what are like some negative things, and I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it because I feel like it's just counterproductive at this point. Like all that stuff
yeah.
is that's
Hmm.
gonna in a few years no one's gonna even remember them. you know like I
Hmm.
want to like I think also my personality in general, I'm just like rather think about the positives of it because that's how I get inspired and like if I focus too much on like all the assholes I just get I just it makes it difficult to work and I get like depressed and
Yeah.
frustrated, and I know there's people who can like get riled up and like get that fire like motivates them and like burns inside of them to like do better or like to elevate themselves and like work harder and stuff like that. But for me it's like, man, I can't even like I cannot. So sometimes I feel like I'm kind of quiet on the internet when it comes to like bigger issues like that, but that's because I'm more comfortable talking about it than I am like bringing it into my life in a way where I'm just going to get negative, you know, I don't know. I was going to say feedback. That's not the right word. I guess
Like
feedback.
negative
Yeah.
interaction from
Yeah,
writers.
feedback in terms of like what you get from a microphone when you like scream into it or whatever.
Yeah.
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 That kind of shit. Like I don't want that to be like permeating my life and in a way where it's going to distract me from wanting to continue making stuff.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. It's a weird time. Social media is weird. Just going back to that.
Yeah, I feel like there's kind of the sense of like what you tweet is kind of just like it's there forever and like
Yeah.
not necessarily like a bad thing, just but I've seen like other comic creators like tweeting like the most ridiculous stuff and I'm like, are you sure like that should be
Yeah, it's going to be, it
kind of what
represents
you're
you, I suppose.
what you're putting out there and I'm just it's just weird. It's like it is like I don't think I'm like a super like I need to be positive all the time. Like I'm
Yeah.
just not like but it does make me feel like I need to be like have like a little bit more like levity in the way I go on social media like just because it's like not that important or it shouldn't be as
Yeah.
important as it's made to be, I guess.
Exactly. And I have a rule. I try not to complain on social media. So and if I don't have anything good to say, I usually don't tweet. So if my Twitter's been kind of quiet for a few days, I'm probably having like a bad day.
Oh man.
It's just because it's like
Yeah.
it's just pointless. I'm just gonna. It's I don't know. I feel like you get what you put out into the world, and I try not to look for bad things. Otherwise, like bad things are gonna come back to me.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But I don't know. My social media is like heavily curated because I want to put enough stuff out there that's like I don't want to be a stranger on the internet. I mean, I like being a little mysterious, but like I don't want to be
Yeah.
like like a weirdo. But at the same time, I don't want to give away too much of myself
Yeah.
because I want to seem like I want to give people like a genuine sense of who I am. And I don't want to be fake or like put up a persona that's not me. I want it to be like a genuine thing, but at the same time, I don't want to put up so much that it's like I'm giving myself away on the internet, you know? Like there's
Yeah.
got to be like a little, like a medium. I've got to be a little mysterious, but like
Yeah.
just mysterious enough.
I definitely think having a bit of mystery is preferable.
Oh, yeah, you got to have some mystery. It's so important. Mystery is the fun. That's the fun stuff.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you have like anything that you want to promote? Like any
Right now it's at a
Prince.
weird transition where I don't really the books that I have are not going to come out for like years, so I can't really promote them.
Yeah.
But I will say, Andy's just still kicking ass on Southern Cross. So we're in the last. I'm going to call it season, the third season, I suppose. So the second graphic novel that just came out. So
Nice.
yeah, Punisher's over and Gotham Academy's over. Like it's like I'm free. Dobby is free.
you're,
Just kind of run around and
you're like
like do my
wrapping
own
things
stuff.
up?
Yeah, I'm at this weird point. I'm like wrapping stuff up. I'm starting a few new things. I'm trying to like really focus on like what comes next. So yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
Nice. Exciting.
yeah. More short stories for me.
Cool.
I think that's where I was happiest, and that's what I want to
More
get back
mugs.
to
Don't
doing.
forget the mugs.
More mugs. 2018. Actually, 2018. I've decided this is the year of delights. So I want more
Delights.
delights. Yes. Yeah. I try to instead of doing
Ah, I like that.
right? Like I don't like instead of doing resolutions every year, which I'm really bad at. One of them was like drink more water, and I've been pretty good about that for the last few years. But like I'm usually
That's good.
horrible at them, so I try to do catchphrases. So like a few years
Uh-huh.
ago, it was like I think 2016 was like get gross, and I got a little gross that year, and then like
Get
this year, get gross.
gross.
I got gross. This year is going to be delights, the year of delights.
That's
Your
nice.
Yeah,
delights. I
I
like
feel
that.
like I need more delights in my life, and so that's what's happening.
You've
Yeah.
earned it.
I feel like I have. I feel like we've all earned some delights. God, the last few years have been difficult. I don't know what's going on, but this year,
Yeah, we just need to like keep trucking or
we're gonna
something.
let's keep trucking. Maybe that should be it. In 2018, keep on trucking.
So original.
God bless this
Yes.
truck. Is what I'm saying.
Copyright Leslie.
I'll trademark it and put it on mugs.
Yeah. God bless
Cool.
this truck.com.
Cool. Awesome.
Nice.
So where do you want people to find you? I know you just talked about social media,
Oh, I
like
know. I'm like
your anxieties,
I
but
am Becky Cloonan on everything. Yeah, it's not really anxieties. It's
okay.
just just bad. I'm just bad at it. But yeah, Instagram is where I do most of my sketches, and Twitter is where I do most of my musings, I suppose. And I don't really post on Facebook, but you know, I'll like things every once in a while.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out Becky's work, then please do yourself a favor and check it out. She's awesome.
Oh, you guys are awesome. I'm stoked you guys wanted to talk to
Aw.
me. I was like, yay. We don't get to hang out nearly as much as we should. And whenever I see you guys at cons, it's like in passing. It's like, ooh.
I know, it's so bad. Cons is like the worst time to see anyone
I
like and hang
know.
out because it's just like it's such a difficult time. Like, are you going to any shows this year or planning to?
I've started thinking about it. I don't think I have anything lined up yet. I think I'm going to Finland in like September though. That'll be cool.
Oh,
Ooh, wow.
And then Thought Bubble for sure.
oh yeah, we're going to Thought
Nice.
Bubble.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, let's hang out. That'll be good. Let's hang out in
Yeah,
India.
we can hang out,
Yes.
eat like pork pies or whatever
Oh
they
my
have
God.
over there.
Yeah, pork pies.
I'm vegan. I can't do a
Oh
pork pie
no,
anymore. No more
Oh
pies.
no.
I know.
we'll find the vegan pork pies. The vegan
Yeah.
pork pies.
That's
Faux pork pies.
yeah. This vegan thing is new for me. I was vegetarian for a little bit and like on and off for
You
a
gone
while.
full out.
Yeah, full on vegan. And it's going to make going to England a little difficult because, man, their pies, that's the thing. And I love cheese and pickle
Maybe
sandwiches. What
Oh,
am I going to do?
it's just pickles
I
now.
don't know. Just pickles. I do like pickles a lot.
Pickle on pickle.
Yeah. 2018, all pickles.
Yes, pickle delights.
What a pickle.
Thank you so much, Becky.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah,
It was great
thanks,
talking to
Becky.
you.
Yeah, anytime.
Awesome.
You can find the podcast. I think there's there's like some gardener outside. You can find the podcast at Salt and Honey Pod on Twitter. You can like send us your questions or whatever. And I'm Leslie Hung on Twitter and Dairy Free on Instagram.
Yes, and I'm Sloane on Twitter, and Sloane is my website, and Sloane Leong on Instagram.
That's so
And
good.
and I think the music of this episode is Brian Fukushima, and he's at Brian Fukushima on Twitter.
That's awesome.
Yay!
Yay.
Yay! Thank you, Becky.
Thanks again, Becky.
Yeah,
Really
no
nice.
problems.
Glad we got to chat.
I know. This is good. I just realized, Sloan, I didn't follow you on Instagram, so just changed it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know.
Well, it's a good thing you
I know.
fixed it.